What is going on, y'all? Welcome to the Joel Friday TV podcast. I am Joel Friday. Bienvenido. Welcome to the show. It is Thursday. Amazing stuff. Before we get started, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Smack it. Lay the smack down on the like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we can get subscribers up and a message out. Or the message out and the subscribers up. Whatever you want to do, we just got to do it. Amazing stuff. Topics to be covered. You guys see that title? You see that title? A woman's right to vote. We're going to get into it. Yesterday, we had a guest. A very interesting guest. His name was Jake Julius, and we got into some good stuff about dating, about God, about men, about women. We really got into it, and it was a good conversation. So you can check that out, yesterday's episode, on my YouTube channel when you get a chance, or you can audio podcast that. Today, you know what it is. You know what we're doing. You can call in at any point at 888-775-3773. Yeah, I definitely want to get into this woman to vote thing. I may have some clips to play for you as well. We got some stuff coming. So make sure you tell your people so they don't miss out, because we're going to get into it. 888-775-3773. You can call in for whatever reason. If you can't and you have a question or comment regards to the topic or whatever, you can you can super chat. You can go to the YouTube chat box and hit the super chat button and send your question or comment there. Or you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV, which the link is in the description, and you can super chat there as well with your question or comment, or just support the show. You know what I mean? Your support is appreciated, and I do my best, absolute best, to read your comments and questions live on air and in a timely manner, because sometimes they are really good comments about the topics at hand, and it kind of sparks new conversation, or, answers some questions. So I will make sure I make that as a priority. All right? Right on. Um, let's get to it. Let's get right to it because I was scrolling on TikTok and I seen actually this wasn't even from me scrolling. Somebody sent this to one of the guys here. Maybe it was me, maybe it was somebody else. I don't remember. But I just thought it was interesting and I wanted to talk about it. And it just made me question. And maybe you guys can help me. It made me question. Why won't women do their job? Why won't women do their job? And when I say job, I mean like understanding what it means to be a woman, understanding themselves as a woman, and understanding their role. Why won't women do that? Why will they not understand what it means to be a woman? Because they're not. Women are not doing that. That's just the facts. That's just evident in society today. And it's like a rejection of that very thing. It's like they're saying, I don't want to be a woman. I don't want to be a woman of God. I do not want to be. That's what a lot of women today, not all, right? Not all. A lot of women behave that way. And I think I know why. And you guys can tell me what you guys think, either in the chat, via super chat, or by calling in. But I'm going to tell you what I think. Women are very angry. All people are very angry, but we're talking about women right now. The reason why women won't do their job is because they're very angry and they're very resentful. But the question is, why are they this way? You know what I mean? And because they're angry and resentful, they want all these things, right? They want all these things. And they want you to know that they want all these things. And the reason why women are behaving the way that they're behaving today in society is because they're angry and resentful. It's nothing else. It's nothing else. They're angry and resentful. And a lot of the time, they don't want to try to not be because they have a point to prove, right? Maybe to themselves, maybe to the world, maybe to men. They have a point to prove and they have an enemy. And their job is, in their minds, their job is to defeat the enemy and prove the enemy wrong. Even if it means destroying their lives, hurting others, destroying their children. Even if it means that they have a job that needs to be fulfilled. And the job that's not getting fulfilled is the one that defines what a woman is. And they're just not looking for that. And it's unfortunate, right? Because a lot of them some are, and not everybody is meant to be married. Not everybody's meant to have children. And I understand that. But I feel like there's also a part of women that are missing out on peace, love, the things that they really want deep down, right? They're not getting it and they're missing out on it because of all these other things. But they're very angry and resentful. And what happened is they got lost up here in the mind, right? And the mind has them thinking all kinds of crazy things and doing all kinds of crazy things and believing crazy things. And then what that does is it triggers the emotions. And now they have this anger and resentment. They made this judgment. But where does it come from? Where does it come from? And I feel like if all people, but if women just focused on where this anger came from and focused on overcoming it, they wouldn't have this depression, anxiety, and all these things that all people wrestle with, but that they're dealing with. They wouldn't have it if they tried to overcome the anger. Where it comes from is you got to look within and figure out, why are you angry and resentful, right? And you have to go back to the very beginning of who first made you angry and resentful. Who first did it? Who was your very first influences in your life from the beginning that turned you away from your true nature within, God's nature within? Who did that? Or who didn't protect you when your nature was turned away, right? Your parents. Your parents. And as much as we like to think we love them, and we like to think that that they're the greatest thing ever, especially like a lot of people love to think of their mothers in this way. It's precious and special and all these things. And yes, they did the best they can. And yes, they may mean well. But it doesn't mean that their issues didn't trigger or influence you to fall away. And that's what happens. Our parents are our only influences from day one, and their mistakes and their flaws and their anger is what turns us away. It's the very seed that gets planted from the very beginning that then the mind starts to run wild and believe all these things in society, believe all these things in Hollywood, believe all these things of blah, 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 right? That's when the mind starts to become corrupt, because now the emotions of anger are awakened, right? Which anger awakens all the emotions, the judgment. But it started with your parents, because your parents turned you away, or if another outside source turned you away, right? Like society, your parents didn't protect you and bring you back on the right course because they didn't know. So it's not like a slander to your parents. It's not like, oh, I hate you now because of this. I hate you even more now, right? It's not like that thing, because they couldn't help it. They've had bad upbringings too. Their parents and their parents and their parents and their parents, right? You guys know the story. Well, most of you guys know the story. But we got to overcome the anger and resentment, because Satan has ladies. And I ain't trying to pick on women, and I ain't trying to act like I don't got things that I'm working on too. But I'm saying it because it needs to be said. To my audience, to the people who are watching me, Instagram, YouTube, the ladies, you got to overcome this anger stuff, because you're loving money, and you're loving your career, and you're loving all these things that aren't important. Meanwhile, your soul is all jacked up. Your mind is corrupt. You believe in all these weird stuff, and then you influence your children to do the same thing. And of course, men gotta stop being as weak as we tend to be, right? And we gotta overcome, right? But it's important that women start to seek out what it means to be a woman. I think there's more examples and more not examples, that's the wrong word. There's more like there's more information on like how men can return, right? But not a lot of information, not a lot of, barely any, very few examples of women returning to what a woman should be. And right now, y'all out of control. And if you're taking it personal, that means the shoe fits, right? That means you recognize it to be true. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. That's okay. Admit it and be honest about it. This ain't an attack. Nobody's trying to attack here. But I'm telling you, I live in LA and I have lady friends. I have interactions that I have with women. I'm seeing, and the mindset. And some people may have decent hearts. Some of the girls I know have decent hearts, but the minds are just tied to these weird things that are not true. It's all lies. It's all lies. So what I want to do is, I really talked too long. That monologue right there was longer than I wanted, because I have a clip that I want to play for you guys. And then I'm going to maybe get to some calls here, maybe some super chats. But let me see. I want to play this clip for you guys. Let's see. Because it's out of control. Let's see if this works. So this clip is from TikTok, and it's a lady talking about a woman's right to vote. And then I'm going to give my commentary on it. Here we go.
Anybody has ever pointed out to the repeal the 19th women shouldn't vote crowd that when they tell us that we can't vote because we're too angry and we're too emotional and we're not smart enough and we're too agreeable, and therefore all those things mean that we can't adequately and successfully contribute to political conversation and elect a leader because we're just going to get it wrong, then why do you want us raising your kids? If we're not smart enough and we're not capable enough to elect a leader, to have a say in what goes on politically in our countries, why do you want to leave us for the majority of the time to rear your children, many of whom are boys who are going to grow up to do the voting, because of course us women aren't allowed? Why do you want us to be the primary nurturers, to be the people who have the primary amount of influence on your child? If we have all of these terrible characteristics, why would you want us imparting those on your offspring? That doesn't make a lot of sense.
So, what you see there is a woman bothered by why maybe men or other people don't feel like it's right for a woman to have a right to vote. Whether it's right or not, I don't look. If have the freedom to do what you want, right? That's not my issue. My issue is, why do you want the right to vote? Why do you want it? Right? And I'm going to tell you why I believe that women want it. Just because somebody said that they can't have it. That's the only reason. Because why would you want that? Why do you want that? And nobody wants, that's what I'm saying. No women wants the right to vote. No woman wants to be involved in politics. No woman wants that. The only reason why they do is for like an ego reason, right? The only reason why they get involved or want to be in there and know these things and all that stuff, they get an ego boost from it, right? Because no women naturally wants to be in it or even should be in it. And I guess it's comments like me saying this is the reason why they want to like prove people like me wrong. But it's not like a shot or a dig or shots fired. It's not that. Politics can be, and oftentimes is, unfortunately, dirty and messy. Politics is the people in politics. Politicians are power hungry. Politicians are money driven. Politics can be very cruel. Politics can be very divisive. But with all that being said, it's up to men to fix it. It's up to men to change it. It's up to men to get those battle scars and deal with that stuff. So it's like a necessary evil almost for men to work on that and figure that out. Why? Because we're built for that kind of stuff. Why does a woman want to be involved in that? And they're going to say, why are you yelling? Why does a woman want to be involved in that? They don't. It's not even in their natural nature to want to be involved in politics because they're not built for that. That's not in their nature. That's not feminine. And I'm not saying that women have to just be all feminine all the time and they can't be, tough. But a woman in her natural nature is tough. But she's not like tough in the way that the world thinks tough is supposed to be. Muscles or like loud or, you know what I mean? Like that's false tough. That's fake confidence. A woman in her natural nature and a man in his natural nature are grounded in truth. That's toughness, grounded in truth. So a female who is feminine and who is girly and who is a woman, and I don't mean like girly, but you know what I mean, who is like a woman, that is tough. You know what I mean? That's confident in your nature, in your role that you play. Because ain't nothing tougher and more attractive than a woman that behaves like a woman. Women are naturally more nurturing. That's just apparent. That's obvious. When a husband and wife are in a home and they're raising a child, sometimes the male is too sharp with his words, too aggressive. And then the woman comes in and just like, brings that balance, talks it down a little bit. Be like, hey, you don't have to be, the balance is there. And sometimes it helps the man recognize like, oh, okay, that was probably too tough, too aggressive, right? So then like you can scale it back a little bit. But the woman is there for that balance as well. She has a role to play. We need her to be nurturing. We need y'all to be a woman. We need you to be that. Not just for the children all the time, but sometimes it's helpful to the man. So why are you trying to run away? The most beautiful and peaceful thing you could ever do is find who you are. Not just as a man or a woman, but just as a person. Because meanwhile, we're running away from it. Everybody's depressed and suicidal. But yeah, we want to be a man, and men are dropping the ball, for sure. For sure. Factual. But I rarely see, and I know there's some women like in the chat and some women out in the world who are trying, right? But I oftentimes do not see women lift a finger to try to understand what is going on with me. Because you got these weird influences, Taylor Swift, Nicki Minaj, Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B. At some point, those little thrills and egos are going to run out and you're going to burn out. And hopefully it's not too late for you as far as children and marriage and all those things. Anyway, let me get to some calls. Because y'all gonna make me get carried away. But it's like, it's just, because women are always talking about men are letting them down. And I get that. But women are letting men down too. They really are. And women are not no victim. I'm tired of hearing that women are a victim. I'm tired of hearing you can't say that to me. I'm tired of hearing all this stuff. Y'all women are letting men down too. And I'm dealing with it in my personal life. I've dealt with it in past situations. And it's just, it's not right. So anyway, let me get to some calls. Who should? There's some lines still open, you guys. 888-775-3773. If you would like me to get to your calls in a timely manner, I would get to these lines that are open now before I run out of time, you know what I mean? So I could be able to get to you guys. Let me go to Mr. Pink out of California. Welcome to the show. You're on the air.
What's going on, Joel?
How's it going, Miss Pink?
Touching on a good topic today, man. And I will say that you were talking about how they're letting men down and the other vice versa. Honestly, women are letting themselves down, man, because if they would realize that their true happiness is going to come from accepting their roles, you know, that they'll feel more fulfilled staying at home and watching the kids. That's just the heart of it, you know? That's the problem, is that it's never going to be enough. Like it applies to the whole civil rights thing or whatever rights thing. It's always never going to be enough. It's like, even if they fix the fictitious whatever wage app and all that stuff, it's never going to change that mentality that's been ingrained in people with that socialist mindset of, you know, there's always some oppressor or something in your way of getting, you know, happiness or financial well-being or all that. None of that stuff matters, and that's why society's falling apart.
Yeah, the blame game.
Is
the blame game. Everybody wants to blame somebody else or point the
somebody's
finger.
Too rich, so you can't get ahead. Somebody's too white that you can't get ahead. Somebody's too male that you can't get ahead.
Right.
It's always just it's always creating some victim status. And people, like, so when you put that in somebody's mind, the same thing goes with the civil rights thing, right? If you're putting it in somebody's mind from day one that they're never going to be able to make it because someone is in their way or whatever,
right?
That's what they want. They want to divide people based off of that alone. I mean, I'm of the opinion we should just go back to the people, like Jesse says, like the people that have property and land should be the only ones voting.
Yeah, like it shouldn't even have to.
They clearly have shown in their life that they can lead.
Exactly.
You know,
I agree, and that doesn't, and that has no, and that's the whole thing, is that even the men who aren't in those positions can't vote. Right? It should be down based off of the person who is able to properly make sound decisions based off of the lifestyle that they live, and not even necessarily when it comes to just money, but just building a proper life for yourself and showing the fruits of that, and then being able to vote, not just because you have the genital part.
Right. You know, and it's another thing we were talking about earlier is like, Hake was like, you know, you're a bum if you're homeless and stuff. But I take that back. No, it's like, honestly, like if you're a bum, like digging in the trash and stuff, you probably shouldn't be deciding who should leave the country.
Right.
Those folks don't need to be voting either.
Right.
It's,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
What a mess,
there
man.
should be. There's just no
like,
standard. There's no standard. There's no standard in the world, in general. And I was just talking to Hassan about this recently. Is that there's just no standard, and without standard, just the world goes crazy. Like in Texas, they can carry their gun in a holster outside of their on their belt buckle, showing to the world, and they can walk around like that. And when you see that, then you know, like, okay, you second think about, you're gonna rob this person.
There's not gonna be no crime,
right? Like, cause it's just like,
who's gonna do that?
Exactly. There's a standard there. Now you're like, okay, I don't know. There's just no more standard anymore. So that's we got to start rating. But that's the thing.
Statistics. I can't remember what city it was that recently changed it to where open carry was like fine again, and it was like 45% less crime.
Yeah.
Like, of course. Like, I don't know.
It's just obvious.
That is the issue, is that they just want to dismantle any structure to society, and they'll keep the structure. The people that like really enforce all that, the big money, billionaires like Soros kind of folks, they rely on that so that they can keep their structure in their tower. But it's the same thing as feudalism,
Yeah.
It just keeps people uninformed, that they're not allowed to know the truth, and they're not allowed to, get their lives on track, because they always are thinking that it's messed up, and there's something that is getting in their way.
Exactly.
What is that thing that Jesse says about, like, constantly telling, I love when he asks people, why do you think whites are superior to you, because they keep talking about white supremacy. And it's like, that's not even like a thing anymore.
Right.
Like,
right.
Nor was it really ever. It was just people who lived normal, straight-laced lives, and that went to church and, held themselves uprightly and all that. That's what made society work, and that's what made those people make the right decisions to, put the right leader in place and all that, so...
Yeah, man, 100%. God is just not in the equation, and people stop seeking God, and they start pointing the finger and makes them feel it's just a mess. But I appreciate it, Mr. Pink. Good comments there on the subject.
Yep.
Thank you, man.
Bro. Take it easy, Joel.
All right, you too. Let me go to do I have any super chats here? So Frederick says, stop paying attention to women, Joel, and as soon as you take your eyes off the prize, you trip. My thing is that, like, I get what you're saying. Like, if you don't focus on women, and then you wouldn't be caught up in this thing. And that's true to an extent, but at the same time, if you're not aware of these things, who's going to call it out? Like, ignoring it just because, I don't need to pay attention to that. You don't need to pay attention to that. It's not going to fix the problem. You know what I mean? Somebody has to care enough to speak up about it and want it to change, meaning... And not by, like, trying to force it to change or use your will to make it change, but somebody has to care enough. And for whatever reason, these situations continue to happen in my life for me to learn from, and I'm able to speak on them. And things that I see when it pertains to relationships, when it pertains to women in general, or whatever. These things are what are in front of me. So I speak on it not because I'm, like, making this, like, oh, well, they're just my God thing. You know what I mean? And of course, there's that temptation there to want to overly care, right? But that's not the point here. Is that somebody has to say something. And I'm talking about deal with women. Somebody has to deal with them, not ignore them, not write them off, right? Somebody has to deal with them. They have to be dealt with. And a lot of the times men just think we should just write them off. And I understand that because we're not like affected by these little weird games that they tend to play. So it's like, I don't got time for that. But no, we also got to deal with them. Right? We got to deal with them so they can see how to. That's how fathers do to daughters. Right? So let me go to, but I appreciate it, Frederick. I know what you're saying. And you're right in the sense that we shouldn't be caught up in paying attention, like in the wrong way. So you're right about that. Let me go to Brian out of North Carolina. Brian, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, thanks, Joel. How you doing, man?
How's it going, Brian?
All is well. All is well. You got a good show going. I like the topic.
Appreciate it.
And you're right on the money. And but you said something that I disagree with. You said that women are letting men down.
Right.
And I'm not seeing that. I think about the order of God, and I see how women are even in position to let men down. I think that women are letting children down 100% if they have children. And, men are letting women down. And I think it's because we're paying attention to them too much. Most men. And I hear guys like you, you care. I can tell that you care and you want to be able to speak up about these things. But I ask you, what will you understand? What will you gain from paying attention to the woman and trying to understand a woman that you couldn't gain from understanding yourself?
I don't quite understand what you mean by that last part, but what do I need to understand about women that I won't understand for myself?
No, that you couldn't. What could you gain from paying attention to women and trying to understand women that you couldn't gain from just simply paying attention and understanding yourself?
It's not even about, like, I'm okay. Like, it's not even about me trying to get something from women or try to understand something. It's about the right thing. And through these situations, through these relationships or friendships, I even have female friends. I have siblings I have two siblings that are ladies and blah, blah, blah. But the point is that it's not about me trying to get something from them or even change them, but I'm understanding these things as I'm dealing with them. And I'm understanding that they're just lost. And not all of them, of course, right? Not all of them are lost, but I'm seeing these things and I'm recognizing that they have to be dealt with. Somebody has to deal with them. And guys have their issues too, that sometimes women they do better in certain things than guys do. That just is just the reality. So it's not about like dominance either, but it's also about the father in the very beginning was there. His sole purpose was to lead and guide his daughter. And that was his job. And I feel like men as society, when we see these things, we're supposed to do our best to lead and guide. And if we don't address it, if we don't pay attention, if we don't try to understand, then we'll never be like the father who leading and guiding the daughter. So,
but that's what like when you say try to understand, I mean, what is it that, I mean, you should already, if a man is doing what a man's supposed to be doing, then he already understands, and if he doesn't understand, then he shouldn't be trying to deal with women. He should be trying to deal with himself.
But you gotta deal with what you gotta see. That's the thing, especially if your mother, your actual mother in the home, and the father weren't there to give you proper examples of what a woman and a man should be, you have to take the time to understand. You don't have to, but you should take the time to understand the woman and to understand yourself as a man. Because when you do that, you're able to properly deal with all situations. Because how are you not going to understand? How are you not going to understand enough to raise a proper daughter?
But I agree with what you're saying. But what I'm saying is that as a man, right? I had to, in order to really understand myself, I had to forgive my mother. And when I did, I realized that I was just like her. And I totally understood. I understand women totally. When that happened, I began to understand,
But I don't mean it like, not to cut you off, but I don't mean it like understand them emotionally and stuff like that. I mean more so of like, because you will understand that and you do understand it, but I mean more so in like how to properly deal with them, why they are the way they are, and those things that help them overcome. Because you don't want to just focus only on trying to understand them so you can please them. That's not what I mean. Does that make sense?
Understand them so you can do what then?
You understand. It's not about understanding them. It's more so about doing the right thing and seeing what's right and understanding why they're behaving the way they are. Because when you understand that, then you have more patience to deal with them and you're able to deal with it properly. But you got to put a little bit of work in, just like especially if you're dating or you're married, you got to put a little work in order to serve the situation properly. Just like if you're raising a daughter, you're not just going to like let anything go and at all times. No, you're going to figure it out. You're going to work on it. You're going to make sure you're being the proper father. You're going to make sure that your daughter's getting all that she needs to get. Like there's work.
You said so. You're gonna make sure you're paying attention to yourself.
Right. You're gonna pay attention to yourself as well. You're gonna look at yourself, but you also got to deal with these women. Do you know what I mean by you have to deal with them?
I don't know what you mean by that. No.
Okay. So what do you think I mean when I say you have to learn how to deal with women?
I don't know what you mean. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because I don't see that. I don't see that women need to be dealt with. That's for God. God's going to deal with women if they choose to go and see him.
Right. That's true. But also you are a messenger. You are a example to also be able to, and I'm not saying impose it, like sit up there and trying to save women and be Captain Save I'm not saying to do that, but I'm saying that you also got to be dealing with these situations, dealing with those situations, not ignoring them, not saying like oh, whatever type of thing. Like you got to also, if you're dating and you're in these relationships, you're working on it, right? And at the same time, as you're working on it and learning on it, or you're learning about it, then you can see the right way to handle each situation.
Why are you laughing?
Because I can tell you that ain't making no sense.
It's not
for you. Well, that's fair.
No,
fair,
it's not.
Fair enough. But lastly,
and I just think that I don't think it's not men. Men shouldn't be believing that women are letting them down in any way. Women are women, and they need direction. They need direction, and men just need to worry about doing what men do, which is putting God first and everything. But
that makes I'll go ahead. Finish your point.
No,
I won't cut you off. No. Finish your point.
Well, in my experience and in my going through that, and in my being met with women in my life who come to me with things, I understand them, but I understand what's going on with them because I understand what's going on within me.
Yeah.
And that's all and I know that I can't work on really, all I can do is be aware of it. And that's all I can do for a woman, is to point it out. And it's up to her to want what's right. And that's the extent of it. I think anything else that you dive into in your mind about how things are supposed to work and how you're supposed to work on it is all a lie, and it's futile. The most you can do is pay attention to yourself so that you can point things out. And one thing you won't be able to do if you're paying attention to yourself is ignore anything you're going to see.
So should you work on yourself?
Meaning what? What do you mean work on yourself?
Should you work on yourself? Meaning like work on recognizing what's going on within you, work on doing a silent prayer, work on staying fit, staying healthy. Should you work on that?
Man, only thing I work on is staying present and staying aware. That's it, Joel. Everything else falls into place. Everything else falls into place.
But that's not the... But but that's work. You're working on yourself.
Well, yeah, if that's
by
what you
staying
mean
in
by
the present, by doing a silent prayer, by getting up and going
100%.
to work, by taking care of your responsibility, that's you working on yourself. You're doing what's in front of you to do, right?
Right.
So
I agree. You do have to do that.
So why wouldn't you do that also with people who are in front of you? Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's whatever. Why not do the same thing, work on the relationship?
That's not, how do you work on that with others? Can you explain that to me?
In the same way as you're aware of the situation, you're in the situation, you're learning from it, you're reflecting on it, you're understanding the dynamic, and then when the right moment comes, you speak up or you deal with the situation, or you just,
you're right.
Sometimes you got to listen, sometimes you got to understand. You don't think that God does that with us?
No, you're right. You're right. But all of those things happen in the moment. All of those things happen in the moment.
I agree. I'm not saying that they don't. I agree that those things do happen in the moment.
So in saying that, I say, that's not something I think that we should, as men, we need to be trying to think about. I've thought about this a lot, Joe. I've even been through, trying to do things the right way, and trying to make sure I'm going about it the right way. And I don't know what that way is. It just, everything is literally just about paying attention, and you can't control whether a woman is going to be letting anybody down, let alone a man. All you can do is do what
I know what you're saying, and I get what you're saying, and we're kind of saying the same thing. The only thing, what I'm really saying, and then I gotta get to some super chats here and stuff like that. But I appreciate the call. Is that like, I think that we do a disservice to, because men are always talking about, we're always talking about how we need to lead the way, we need to be an example. But how are we, part of leading the way and part of being an example is dealing with women properly, right? Not writing them off, not saying, oh, forget them. Now, of course, if they're not seeking, if they don't want what's right or they're not learning, then you let them go, right? You blah, blah, blah. But there's still even time.
Is that right? That's writing them off? Would that be considered writing them off?
No, because in that moment, let's just say even the ones that don't want what's right, it doesn't mean that.
So then I don't know what you mean by writing them off then, because who's out here just writing women off?
Well, that's what it sounds like you're saying. You correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what it sounds like you're saying is that, like, no, you just focus on you, and if they're not there, then whatever. It's not up to you.
No, man. No. But this is the thing. The only people who would, quote unquote, do what you said, which is write them off, which is to not pay them any attention, right? To completely ignore them, is somebody who's not paying attention to themselves.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
Right.
If a man is paying attention to himself, then he will address things. Why?
Right.
Because he's in the moment. He's present. He's there to attend to things. But the people that you're saying, like, oh, they're writing people off, they have written themselves off already. And
right. But
and
it's
there's nothing that we can do about that.
True. But it is going to take work. If you're going to be in a relationship, you're going to get married, it is going to take a little work. So just to sum it up, just so we can make sure we're clear and the audience is clear, you and I are both saying that if we stay in the present and focus on ourselves. But then when we see certain moments to also speak up or deal with women or work on the relationship, then we do it based off of what we see to do in the
Everything
moment.
you just said is correct, except you said but. It's not but. It's and. It's if you're staying present, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as a man, if you're paying attention, and this will happen. It's not but you got to do this. It's no, you do that, and all of that stuff will happen.
But so we saying the same thing.
Kinda. I don't know. The but sounds like you trying to do something else with it when it's already done.
All right. Well, fair enough, Brian. I appreciate it. Call me again, though.
Right
It's
on,
good.
brother.
It's good. Good conversation. And it's good to bump the head sometimes. It's good for conversation and to make each person think. So thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joel. I wish you well.
All right, you too. That's fine. C-Sal said something interesting that I want to get to. Let me see if I can find it. C-Sal says, so then if women don't need to be dealt with, neither do men, then what's the point of the bond network? Referring to Brian. Exactly. Exactly my point. God deals with you. Right? God works with you, even though we're all unworthy. God understands you. He's working with you. Your father, if he's a decent father, is working with you, trying to lead and guide you in a proper way. So why don't you work with the female and the female too? Be patient with the man. Work with the man. Try to understand him so you can be proper. Joel got that yap 3000. Stop yapping, boy, says Kale Samogi. Whatever. Hold on. Let me check the chats here. Let me see. Let me make sure I'm not missing any super chats or anything. Enough of the wordplay. Joel Thumpin versus Joel He Black. Oh. Better quality men equals better quality women. I'm going to say this last thing and then I got to go. Callers, I can't get to you because I got to end the show. I can't get to you. I got to end the show. So call me again on Monday if you still want to talk. Is men got to be an example. For sure. Yes. But men also got to get involved. That's what involved means. That's what involved means, whether it be in like JLP says in the politics, involved into the world. And be the light. And I'm not saying, and don't get it twisted in the sense of like involved, now you're going to impose the word, get the Bible preaching and do all that stuff. No, like you're being led and you're going based off of what you see to do. But you got to deal with these things. Men got to deal with women. And not run away from them and not, oh, well, they're just evil. I'm done with women. No, they're looking for love. Anyway, that's enough yapping. I gotta end. For sure gotta end. American Anchor Baby is gonna come in right now to do his show. He's got a show lined up for you. You want to make sure you check out American Anchor Baby and check out the Hake Report and all that good stuff. network is growing. Shows are growing. We got some more stuff coming to you guys. So appreciate the support and all that good stuff. Follow me across the board, Joel Friday TV, and everything. I had some other things I wanted to cover, but wasn't meant to be. I'll see you guys on Monday. I'm not here tomorrow. Joel Friday, not here on Friday, but we're back here tomorrow. We're back here on Monday for a new week. Until next time, y'all gotta go. Bye.